Everybody, good morning. Welcome to Snow Talk, although there's not a lot really in the snow side of things to talk about, as our pattern is going through a change, and we'll get to that in a second. First off, this morning's been busy enough for us with all the freezing rain and sleet reports we had last night. Of course, that froze up once we got into the morning time period. In fact, I'm looking to see now, if I stop this, you'll be able to see this is where a lot of these sleet and freezing rain reports were, roughly very close to the county or so either side of the Ohio River, and then again another batch toward I-75. But it's that initial batch. It was just enough to lay it down, the groundwork really, and then the temperature dropped below 28, especially here in the city. That's when really things started to freeze up, and then cars were sliding everywhere. It's been a while since I've been on my way to work and have witnessed cars all around me going in different directions. It was nerve-wracking. And this is 65 near the airport, and see all that. Don't see that very often, but you know that the roads are certainly in trouble when you see that kind of scenario. So we upgraded pretty quick to the alert day to make sure everybody was aware of it. We were debating on this on Friday, even several days last week, whether or not we needed one or not. It really just was hard to tell where that band would form. And even as early as yesterday afternoon, it looked like it would be closer to, say, Bardstown. It would develop, but it ended up being closer to Louisville. And there you go. Here's the result. So what's next? Well, we're going to get some sunshine, obviously. Mix of sun and clouds today. Our pattern is going to be changing. This is good, but it also means more wet weather. So what we find tonight, what we find tomorrow really, it's once we head into Wednesday, we start to develop the core of showers. Valentine's Day, band of showers will be passing through, still able to get numbers up there though in the 50s and 60s, and then that'll continue as that wave moves off to the east. But then yet another wave develops on Thursday night into Friday. This one, for Thursday, the wind fields are pretty strong with this as far as being able to get us into warm territory. Now I think the main rain band is likely going to develop north of I-64 on Thursday, so I think areas just south of 64, or even right along it, have a good chance to get 65 to 73. I think it's going to be a temperature range. If this band waits until later and develops a little further north than expected, say closer to I-70, Louisville has a chance to get between 70 and 75. That flow is strong enough to do that. However, if it's closer to 64, then we will miss out on that idea. It's still in the 60s, and the 70-degree potential will be down to southern Kentucky. Either way, warm, windy. Band of rain. We're not looking at severe weather with this, but some lightning and thunder, I wouldn't rule it out. More importantly, though, is this front, and it's going to be a horizontal in direction with this front. It'll push to the south, and as it does so, the cold air moves in, so temperatures will actually fall throughout the day on Friday instead of warm. But as we do fall, we're going from a warm and wet scenario to a colder, snowy one. Typically for us, that means maybe some minor grassy accumulations, but the roads will be fine. And even the freezing line itself doesn't come crashing through here. It just gets cold enough aloft to change the raindrops to snowflakes, and that's why we could see it into snow. But it'll be a pretty wet snow, but most of it will likely melt on contact. And that's really about it, guys, when it comes to anything frozen, because our pattern is going to be evolving, as I mentioned. Looking at, I didn't get a chance to update these maps, but they're pretty much the same order here. If we look at the PNA, which I was going to show you, the oscillations on the Euro and on the GFS both tanked the, this is the normal line up here, they both tanked PNA as we head into the end of the month, which means that we're going to see a warmer, wetter East Coast, colder West Coast. Good support on that. All the signals that we had for a while now saying that around Valentine's Day or just after, we would see this plunge back into an Arctic cold. And they had support all the way until this weekend. Then the weekend started, and what support they had started to fade, which meant that the Euro really ensembles going far out on the idea of a warmer and wet pattern developing won this battle. So this trend here is going to be for a warmer, wet scenario. That is the downside. It could be excessively wet, and the models are pointing the problem out. More than 7 inches of rain over the next 10 days could fall into the Ohio River Valley. So we may go from one extreme of worrying about winter storms or ice storms or anything like that to flooding and potentially severe weather, but flooding more than anything. So quite the change coming our way, guys, as we head into the next couple of weeks, especially. If you want warmer weather, it's good, but it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be kind of a sloppy, wet setup coming our way. Are we done with winter entirely? No, I don't think that's the case. In fact, usually winter, let me get back to this map, winter forecast can kick back in. This kind of pattern here for more of the wet snow scenarios. Are we going to get the cold Arctic air that's going to lock in and give us 0-degree temperatures for days on end? No. We're out of the woods on that kind of cold. I don't see anything like that. And you're getting to a higher sun angle now. So we're moving into the season of really late winter, early spring. And that's when you can get winter storms. We've had several in March and April. but there are certainly your more high precipitation events. So if you want a big snow, usually we get them from these events leading into the spring versus we do in the core of wintertime. So I'm not saying there's anything on the table to try, because there's not. I don't see anything yet to worry about. But if you think winter is done and you live in this area, you've grown up here, you know better. Think that. At least at the moment, you don't have to worry about it, and hopefully this warm weather will be enjoyed in the times when it's not raining. Let's hope it doesn't rain all the time, and I don't think it will, but I don't like flooding either. Flooding is a pain, and it can be so disastrous when it takes place. For those of you who live in your creeks and riverbeds and your basements, we don't like this kind of stuff, and I hate seeing this for the upcoming spring pattern, but this is the way this is looking. That's it for now, guys. Be careful still driving around the next few hours while we still have some icy roads, but things are improving, and we'll have at least a warmer rest of the week until Friday.